Another reading of our Caitanya Caritamrta, and we've reached the 17th chapter of Adi-lila, and we're discussing the pastimes of Gopal Chapala, that offensive person who offended Srivas Thakur. So today is Tuesday, the 30th September, last day of September 2025. Very, very close to Kartik. So we'll begin. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadaliye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhu Eka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Bharatinokalo, Samarpayitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam. Haripurata Sundarata Tikatam Basadapita, Sada Hradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Matayo Tarva Benedustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karma Ditaranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarabindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And again, I'm offering my millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of our dearmost Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to our beloved Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, and to all our Rupanuga Guru Varg, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So as I just described, we're discussing the pastime of Gopal Chapala, how he placed all those articles for Shakti worship on the doorstep of Srivas Thakur to try and defame him, to try and minimize his respect in the eyes of all the Brahmanas and all the respectable gentlemen in the district, who were all Vaishnavas. And what was Srivas Thakur's response? He immediately called all those respectable Brahmin gentlemen and showed them, look, I am a worshipper of Shakti. This is the proof. These are all the articles for Shakti. Of course, none of those gentlemen believed him for a second and realized immediately someone was trying to defame him. So Gopal Chapala, quite an ignorant type of a person is described, spoke harshly, etc., which indicates a sort of an aggressive, rather ignorant mentality. Anyway, they called a sweeper to clear all those articles away. And then Gopal Chapala, he contracts leprosy within 3 days and is suffering greatly, being bitten by all kinds of insects, and has to leave the village because leprosy is very contagious, living on the banks of the Ganga. And he sees Mahaprabhu and begs Mahaprabhu for relief from his torment. And he's acknowledging Mahaprabhu's greatness at that time. He's saying that you've cured many people, so you should also cure me. But Mahaprabhu becomes very angry, and he tells him for the offense that he's committed, then there will be no respite. So, and then Mahaprabhu leaves him to his sorrowful plight. So now we pick up on verse 55 and 56 today. Adi-lila, chapter 17. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda Sanyas Korea Yabe Prabhu Nila Chala Gela Tata Haite Yabe Kulia Grama Aila Tabe Se Papi Prabhu La Ila Sharan Ita Upadesha Koile Hoia Karan Tarun. Translation. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after accepting the renounced order of life, went to Jagannath Puri and then came back to the village of Kulia, upon his return, that sinful man took shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord, being merciful to him, gave him instructions for his benefit. So the Lord went away for a long time, a number of months, and then he returns on his way to Ramkeli and to the north of Bengal. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his Anubhasya, has given the following note in connection with the village of Kulia. The village, originally known as Kulia, has developed into what is now the city of Navadvip. In various authorized books like Bhakti Ratnakara, Caitanya Caritamrta Mahakavya, Caitanya Chandradoi Nataka, and Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is mentioned that the village of Kulia is on the western side of the Ganges. That's on the Navadvip side today. These books, by the way, Ratnakara, Bhakti Ratnakara, this is Narahari Chakravarti, and Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya, this is Kavi Kanpur, and also Chaitanya Chandradoi Nataka, this is also Kavi Kanpur, and Chaitanya Bhagavat is, of course, Vrindavan Das Thakur. So this village of Kulia is on the Navadvip side, which is the western side. Navadvip, the Ganga, it goes directly north, we can say. So on the western side is Navadvip, and on the eastern side today is the Yogpit, the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. Even now, within the area known as Koladvip, Koladvip is on the western side, where the Devananda Gaudiya Math is, where our Keshavji Gaudiya Math is. This is on the western side. There is a place known as Kuliar Ganj and a place known as Kulia Daha, both within the jurisdiction of the present municipality of Navadvip. In the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two villages on the western side of the Ganges, named Kulia and Pahadarpur, both belonged to the jurisdiction of Bahiradvip. At that time, the place on the eastern side of the Ganges, now known as Antardvip or Mayapur, was known as Navadvip. At Sri Mayapur, that place is still known as Dipera Mat. There is another place of the name Kulia near Kanchadapad, but it is not the same Kulia mentioned here. It cannot be accepted as Aparad Banjanera Pat, or the place where the offenses are excused, for that occurred in the above-mentioned Kulia on the western side of the Ganges. So we have our Devananda Gaudiya Math, and also we have our Keshavji Gaudiya Math. This is all in the place of Koladvip. And Koladvip, that place is described as Aparad Banjaner Pat, where offenses are forgiven. So this offense of Gopal Chapala was finally forgiven there. Also Devananda Pandit, he was residing there, and his offense was also mitigated there. For business reasons, many envious persons oppose excavation of the real place, and sometimes they advertise unauthorized places as the authorized ones. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he's commenting that on the western side, on the Navadvip side today, there's a huge place, a big park they've made, and they celebrate that as being the original Yog Pit, because businessmen, they wanted to attract the tourists, and they do get a lot of tourists there. On the western side, proclaiming that that is the birth site of Mahaprabhu. But we know the pastime when Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he takes Jagannath Das Babaji in a basket carried by that Sevak, Bihari, and
Jagannath, he jumps out of his basket in ecstasy when he reaches that place of the yoga pit. The yoga pit wasn't discovered prior to Bhaktivinoda Thakur doing extensive research and seeing that glorious illumination, which was on the other side when he was staying in Swananda Sukata Kunj. He saw it in the Mayapur side. So he went across there the next day, and then he inquires around, mostly Muslim people, about this particular spot, which was only filled with tulsis. Nothing else would grow there. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his great vision and munificence, he concludes that this must be the yoga pit. This is a great, great discovery, because without the putting of this yoga pit on the map, where can all the Vaishnavas get their authenticity from, so to speak? All the great saints and personalities in history, we all have their Shripat, their birthplace is marked. So we see, like in Christianity, they have Bethlehem or Jerusalem. In Islam, they have Mecca. So, and in Krishna's pastimes, we have Vrindavan. So it was essential that Bhaktivinoda Thakur excavate and put this yoga pit. Yoga pit means the meeting place. It's the birthplace, the house of Jagannath Mishra. So this is all thanks to the hard endeavor, diligent, focused endeavor of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And this is all on the western side. But today, some business-like people are saying that the yoga pit is on the western side, but the yoga pit is on the eastern side. So that should be clearly understood. Text 57 and 58.
Shrivas Panditera Stane Ache Aparad Tahta Yahe Tenha Yadi Karene Prasad Tabe Tora Habe E Papa Vimochana Yadi Purna Ache Nahi Kore Archana Acharana.
Translation. You have committed an offense at the lotus feet of Srivas Thakur, the Lord said. First you must go there and beg for his mercy. And then if he gives you his blessings and you do not commit such sins again, you will be freed from these reactions. Very simple. If we commit some heinous aparad to a Vaishnava, this can be the result. Text 59. This is demonstrating the Lord's mercy by giving this punishment. Text 59.
Tabe Vipraloila Dasi Srivasa Sharana Tanhanhara Kripaya Hoile Papa Vimochana.
Translation. Then the Brahmana, Gopal Chapala, went to Srivas Thakur and took shelter of his lotus feet. And by Srivas Thakur's mercy, he was freed from all sinful reactions. This is why it's called Aparad Bhanjan Pat, because the offenses become forgiven very easily in this area. Text 60.
Ara eka vipra oile kirtana dekite Vare kapita na paile bitara yahite.
Translation. Another Brahmana came to see the kirtan performance, but the door was closed and he could not enter the hall. Text 61.
Piragela vipragare mane duka pane Aratina prabhuke kahe gangaya lagpane.
He returned home with an unhappy mind, but on the next day he met Lord Chaitanya on the bank of the Ganges and spoke to him. Text 62.
Sapibe tomara muni panchi mune duka patita chadiya sape panchananda durmuka.
Translation. That Brahmana was expert in talking harshly and cursing others. Thus he broke his sacred thread and declared, I shall now curse you, for your behavior has greatly aggrieved me. Text 63.
Samsare sukha tomara hoyuka vinasa Sapa suni prabhu chite hoila ulasa.
Translation. The Brahmana cursed the Lord You shall be bereft of all material happiness. When the Lord heard this, he felt great jubilation within himself. Text 64.
Prabhure sapapa varta yetsuni sradavan Brahma sapa hoite tara hoi paritaran.
Translation. Any faithful person who hears of this Brahman's cursing Lord Chaitanya is delivered from all Brahminical curses. So this Caitanya Caritamrta is so powerful that we're blessed to be hearing it during this point in time. This point in time in the entire day, 4 billion years of Lord Brahma. In fact, it's 8 billion years. 8,640 billion years constitutes a day of Lord Brahma. And we are so fortunate to be here at this time, hearing the Caitanya Caritamrta, which will liberate us completely from the effects of this Kali Yuga. We've just previously heard that the chanting of the holy name is going to purify the consciousness to such a degree where one can be liberated from the attraction to Maya's powerful energy, which we have come under. And because we're all weakened in this Kali Yuga, it's described in Jaiva Dharma, we don't have that Bal Shakti, that natural sanskar, that connection with Guru, that connection with Vaishnavas. We're not having that, many of us from birth, especially in the Western world. We don't have those sanskars to give us the strength. But nevertheless, by the incredible mercy of the Lord and the potency of the Hare Krishna mantra, we can cross over this devastating ocean of the illusory energy and come to that platform where our hearts can be inspired directly to serve Srimati Radhika. This benediction will come from the Lord himself. So, purport. One should know with firm conviction that the Lord, being transcendental, is never subject to any curse or benediction. Only ordinary living entities are subjected to curses and the punishments of Yamaraj. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is beyond such punishments and benedictions. When one understands this fact with faith and love, he personally becomes free from all curses uttered by Brahmanas or anyone else. This incident is not mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we're all liberated from any future Brahminical curses because we've heard this. Text 65.
Mukunda tetera kaitanda parisad Kandile tahara chitera sabha avasad.
Translation. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment, and in that way vanquished all his mental depression. Purport. Mukunda Datta was once forbidden to enter the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of his mixing with the Mayavad impersonalists. When Lord Chaitanya manifested his Mahaprakash, he called all the devotees one after another and blessed them, while Mukunda Datta stood outside the door. The devotees informed the Lord that Mukunda Datta was waiting outside, but the Lord replied, I shall not soon be pleased with Mukunda Datta, for though he explains devotional service among devotees, he then goes to Mayavadis to hear from them the Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana, which is full of Mayavad philosophy. For this I am greatly displeased with him. Hearing the Lord speak in that way, Mukunda Datta, standing outside, was exceedingly glad that the Lord would at some time be pleased with him, although he was not pleased at the moment. But when the Lord understood that Mukunda Datta was going to give up the association of the Mayavadis for good, he was pleased, and he at once called to see Mukunda. Thus he delivered him from the association of the Mayavadis and gave him the association of pure devotees. So this pastime is described in Caitanya Bhagavat, and it's described how Mukunda Datta is standing outside the door while all the different devotees are getting their benedictions and offering their obeisances to the Lord. And then they mention his name, like is mentioned here. But then the Lord says, no, he will not get my darshan for the next 1,000,000 births. And when Mukunda Datta heard that, he became absolutely ecstatic. He thought, for at least I will get his darshan, even if I have to wait 1,000,000 births. So then, when Mahaprabhu realized his ecstasy and realized the mood of his heart, he called him in, and he forgave him for his offenses to speaking these devotional precepts in the Mayavadi association. So the Lord became very pleased with Mukundadatta, and Mukundadatta was benedicted by the Lord fully. Mukundadatta is performing many pastimes with the Lord. He's in Puri Dham in all the Rath Yatra festivals that are described there. Text 66.
Acharya Goshanir Prabhu at Kare Gura Bhakti Tahete Acharya Bada Hoya Dukkha Mati.
Lord Chaitanya respected Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master, but Advaita Acharya Prabhu was greatly aggrieved by such behavior. Text 67.
Bangi Kori Gyana Mar Korila Vyakyana Krodha Vesha Prabhu Tare Koila Avignana.
Translation. Thus he whimsically began to explain the path of philosophical speculation, and the Lord in his anger seemingly disrespected him. Text 68.
Dabe Acharya Goshanera Ananda Hoile Lajite Hoye Prabhu Pasada Korile.
Translation. At that time, Advaita Acharya was greatly pleased. The Lord understood this, and he was somewhat ashamed, but he offered Advaita Acharya his benediction. Purport. Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri's spiritual master. Therefore, Ishwara Puri, the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was Advaita Acharya's godbrother. In view of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu treated Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master. But Sri Advaita Acharya did not like this behavior of Lord Chaitanya's, for he wanted to be treated as his eternal servant. Also, Advaita Acharya was very much senior in years. He was even senior to Jagadish Pandit, the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was about 60, 70 years old when Mahaprabhu manifested. So he lived for a long time. He's Mahavishnu, Sadashiva. So he was very senior in years as well as senior in his association with Madhavendra Puri, and as a godbrother of Ishwara Puri, the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore devised a plan to antagonize the Lord. He began to explain the path of philosophical speculation in the midst of some unfortunate Mayavadis. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard about this, he immediately went there in a very angry mood and began to beat Advaita Acharya. At that time, Advaita Acharya, greatly pleased, began to dance, saying, "Just see how my desire has now been fulfilled. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to treat me honorably for so long, but now he is treating me neglectfully. This is my reward. His affection for me is so great that he wanted to save me from the hands of the Mayavadis." Hearing this statement, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was somewhat ashamed, but he was very pleased with Advaita Acharya. Mahaprabhu comes across to Shantipur, where Advaita Acharya is speaking this bogus philosophy to the Mayavadis, and he physically begins to beat him so intensely that Sita Thakurani, his wife, runs out, "You'll kill the old man. Don't beat him so hard, you'll kill the old man." But Advaita Acharya is laughing. He's so happy that finally he's got his way and he's being treated harshly by the Lord. He wants to serve, everyone by nature wants to serve the Supreme Lord, but in the pastimes it appears that Advaita Acharya is senior, so he wanted to purify this mood in his relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which he did by performing this pastime. Text 69.
Murari Gupta Mukhe Sune Rama Guna Gram Lalate Lakila Tanra Ramadasanam.
Translation. Murari Gupta was a great devotee of Lord Ramchandra. When Lord Chaitanya heard Lord Ramchandra's glories from his mouth, he immediately wrote on his forehead, "Ramdas, the eternal servant of Lord Ramchandra. Murari Gupta in Ramchandra's Lila, is Hanuman. So Murari Gupta is totally sold out to Lord Ramchandra. Text 70. There was a time when Mahaprabhu was speaking with Murari Gupta, trying to pull him towards the Krishna conception. And Murari Gupta, it's described, stayed awake all night in great anguish, trying to pull his heart and soul away from mercy to Lord Ramchandra, and tried to embrace the conception that Mahaprabhu was speaking about to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. And in the morning, he just could not bring himself away from Lord Ramchandra. And then he decides, I will actually have to take my life. I will kill myself. So he finds a sharp knife and he hides it under his pillow, and he's ready to take his life. And when he meets Mahaprabhu in the morning, he says, I cannot take my head away from the lotus feet of Lord Ramchandra. But Mahaprabhu knows what his intention is and tells Murari Gupta, bring me that knife. He tells him, bring me the knife. Murari Gupta sheepishly goes back and brings the knife, and Mahaprabhu is very pleased. He said, you should stay with your Ishtadev, with Lord Ramchandra, life after life. I am pleased with your devotion. So Murari Gupta is pacified. Text 70.
Shridarera lahu patra koile jalapan, samasta bhaktera lilash ista varadan.
Translation. Once Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the house of Sridhar after kirtan and drank water from his damaged iron pot. Then he bestowed his benediction upon all the devotees according to their desires. Purport. After the Mass, Nagar Sankirtan, in protest against the magistrate Chankazi, the Kazi was converted to a devotee. This pastime with the Chankazi is going to be described in the Caitanya Caritamrta a little bit later. And when we come there, we'll read the glorious pastime from the Chaitanya Bhagavat also, which is completely astonishing. But that's probably in a couple of days' time for us. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned with his Sankirtan party to the house, this is after the Chankazi, to the house of Sridhar, and Chankazi followed him. All the devotees rested there for some time and drank water from Sridhar's damaged iron pot. The Lord accepted the water because the pot belonged to a devotee. Chankazi then returned home. The place where they rested is still situated on the northeastern side of Mayapur, and it is known as Kirtan Vishram Stan, the resting place of the Kirtan party I described the other day. When you go from the Yoga Pit, you come to Sriva Sangam, and then further you come to the Chaitanya Mat, and then you go further, maybe 1 kilometer on that road, and you come to the place of the Chankazi, and right beside there, just a little bit to the east, is the temple of Jagannath Dev. And you go round the corner of Jagannath Dev, and you come to Sridhar Angam, the place of Sridhar, where this pastime was performed. So we can go there today and take darshan there. Text 71.
Haridasa Thakure Korila Prasada Acharya Stana Matara Kali Kandali Aparad.
After this incident, the Lord blessed Haridas Thakur and vanquished the offense of his mother at the home of Advaita Acharya. So all this is taking place during Mahaprabhu's Mahaprakash. On the Mahaprakash day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Haridas Thakur and informed him that he was none other than the incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. We understand that actually Haridas Thakur is Lord Brahma simultaneously. He's manifesting both of these personalities within him. Lord Brahma wanted to take birth in a low caste, so he takes birth as a Muslim in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. When Vishwarup took sannyas, Sachimata thought that Advaita Acharya had persuaded him to do so. Therefore she accused Advaita Acharya of this, which was an offense at his lotus feet. Later, Lord Chaitanya induced his mother to take the dust of Advaitacharya's lotus feet, and thus her Vaishnava aparad was nullified. Text 72. Bhaktagana Prabhu Nama Mahima Kaile Suniya Pradule Hatahan Artavada Kaile. Translation. Once, when the Lord explained the glories of the holy name to the devotees, some ordinary students who heard him fashioned their own interpretation. Text 73. Namastute Vada Suni Prabhu Hoile Duka Sabara Nishidela Ida Ihara Na Dekiha Mukha. Translation. When a student interpreted the glories of the holy name as a prayer of exaggeration, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, greatly unhappy, immediately warned everyone not to see the student's face henceforward. That was a great offense. This is one of the offenses, the main principal offenses, to consider the glories of the holy name to be an exaggeration. Purport. Once, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the glories of the transcendental potency of the Lord's holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one unfortunate student said that such glorification of the holy name was an exaggeration in the Shastra to induce people to take to it. In this way, the student interpreted the glories of the holy name. This is called Artavad, and it is one of the 10 offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. There are many kinds of offenses, but the offense known as Nam Aparad, an offense at the lotus feet of the holy name, is extremely dangerous. The Lord therefore warned everyone not to see the face of the offender. The Lord immediately took a bath in the Ganges with all his clothes on to teach everyone to avoid such Nam Aparad. The holy name is identical to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between the person God and his holy name. This is the absolute position of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, one who distinguishes between the Lord and his name is called a pasandi, or non-believer, an atheistic demon. Glorification of the holy name is glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should never attempt to distinguish between the Lord and his name or interpret the glories of the holy name as mere exaggeration. So this is very clear. If offense is being made to the holy name, then all inauspiciousness will befall that person. So we must be very cautious. Many times throughout so far, we've talked about the offenses to the holy name. The holy name is the principal sadhan. It's the abhideya, it's the methodology to achieve the conclusions that Mahaprabhu is going to open out, especially the conclusions of the 4th chapter of Adi-lila. In the 4th chapter of Adi-lila, the inner reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent is to follow in the footsteps of the gopis of Braj. This is our path, this gopi bhav. So in order to come to that very exalted high stage, we must take seriously this chanting and be very cautious for any nam aparad. Text 74. Sagane sachale giya koile ganga snan bhaktire mahimatan korile vyakyan. Without even removing his garments, Lord Chaitanya took a bath in the Ganges with his companions. There he explained the glories of devotional service. Text 75. Jnana karma yoga dharma nahi Krishna vash Krishna vasa hetu eka prema bhakti ras. Translation. By following the paths of speculative, philosophical knowledge, fruitive activity, or mystic yoga to control the senses, one cannot satisfy Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Unalloyed devotional love for Krishna is the only cause for the Lord's satisfaction. Bhagavad Gita is filled with indications and verses to this end, that unalloyed devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavanyas chasmi tatvadaha tesham satatam yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. All of these verses are indicating that only by unalloyed devotional service can Krishna be attained. Text 76.
na sanyati mam yogo, na sankhyan dharma udhava, na swadhyayastapastyogo, yata bhakti mamojita.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna said, "My dear Uddhav, neither through Astanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism, or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me." Very beautiful. Purport. Karmis, Gyanis, Yogis, Tapasvis, and students of Vedic literature who do not have Krishna consciousness simply beat around the bush and do not get any final profit because they have no clear knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We might also consider that if we try to understand these texts, these different literatures, without chanting the holy name of the Lord, it'll be very, very difficult. The holy name of the Lord cleanses the mirror of the heart, Cheto Dapana Marjanam. When the mirror of the heart becomes cleansed, then the sweetness and speciality and the purity of these shastras can enter the heart. But without chanting, just trying to read these scriptures, we will not understand, or limited understanding, if there's no faith. Nor do they have faith in approaching him by discharging devotional service, although everywhere such service is repeatedly emphasized, as it is in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-20. The Bhagavad Gita 18:55 also declares, Bhaktya mam abhijananti yavan yaschasmi tatvataha. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is only by devotional service. If one wants to understand the Supreme Personality factually, he must take to the path of devotional service and not waste time in profitless philosophical speculation, fruitive activity, mystic yogic practice, or severe austerity and penance. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 12:5, the Lord confirms, Klesho diksharatas tesham avyakta chetasam. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifest, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. We've just come from the impersonal conception. All of us, we've come from that Tatashta region. We've come from a Shantaras, we've come from the Brahmajyoti into this world. So that sanskar, that impression, is still there within us. So sometimes people become easily attracted to the impersonal path, but without hearing the sweetness and speciality of the personality through his leelas, through Krishna and Radha, through his Braj leelas, then we cannot make progress on this path, really. We'll just be hovering on the mental platform, perhaps between the two worlds. We have to be careful about this. Elsewhere, yes, I said that. People who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Lord are obliged to take great trouble, yet nevertheless they cannot understand the absolute truth. As explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-11, Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavan iti Shabhyate. Unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of both Brahman and Paramatma, one is still in darkness about the absolute truth. This verse, Vedanti tat tattva vidastatvam yajnanam advayam, Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavan iti Shabhyate. This is all one Bhagavan, but he has three truths. There is the Brahman, which is the truth, and is a partial manifestation of Bhagavan. It's his own effulgence. Then there is Paramatma, which again is like an impersonal feature of the Lord. But then there is Bhagavan himself, the complete conclusion of all the Lord's qualities and pastimes. Text 77.
Murari ke kahe tume Krishna Vashakoile, Sunya Murari Sloka Kohite Lagila.
Lord Chaitanya then praised Murari Gupta, saying, "You have satisfied Lord Krishna." Hearing this, Murari Gupta quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, text 78.
Kvam Daridra Papiyan Kva Krishna Shri Niketana Brahma Bandhu Ite Smaham Bahu Bayam Parirambita.
Translation: Since I am but a poor, sinful Brahma Bandhu, not Brahminically qualified, although born in a Brahmin family, and you, Lord Krishna, are the shelter of the goddess of fortune, it is simply wonderful, my dear Lord Krishna, that you have embraced me with your arms. Purport: This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:81-16. This is at the end of the 10th canto, spoken by Sudama Vipra in the presence of Lord Krishna. This is the previous verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam clearly indicates, this and the previous verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam clearly indicate that although Krishna is so great that it is not possible for anyone to satisfy him, he exhibits his greatness by being personally satisfied even with one who is unqualified from so many angles of vision. Sudama Vipra was born in a family of Brahmanas, and he was a learned scholar and a class friend of Krishna's, yet he considered himself unfit to be strictly called a Brahmana. He called himself a Brahma Bandhu, meaning one born in a Brahmin family but not Brahminically qualified. Because of his great respect for Brahmanas, however, Krishna embraced Sudama Vipra, although he was not a regular Brahmana, but a Brahma Bandhu, or a friend of the Brahmana families. Murari Gupta could not be called even a Brahma Bandhu because he was born in a Vaidya family, and according to the social structure was therefore considered a Shudra. But Krishna bestowed special mercy upon Murari Gupta because he was a beloved devotee of the Lord, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The purport of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's elaborate discussion on the subject is that no qualification in this material world can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, yet everything becomes successful simply through development of devotional service to the Lord. So there's no qualification materially that anyone can have in this world that will support Krishna giving his mercy to that person. There's only devotional service. It's only that mood of devotional service. We see in the example of the Mahabharata, when Duryodhana, he was ready to offer Krishna as a messenger came to Hastinapur to arrange peace with Yudhisthira, and he offered Krishna a beautiful, elaborate feast, thousands of preparations in a wonderful hall with great opulence. Krishna turned it all down and went instead to the house of Vidura, and Vidura at that time wasn't present. So his wife Vidurani was there, and she was in so much ecstasy to meet with Krishna, she was offering him, because Krishna said, "Give me something to eat." So she brought bananas, but she was in so much ecstasy that instead of giving the Krishna the banana, she gave him the peel instead. And Krishna ate it with great relish because it was offered with love by his devotee. So this distinction of what is offered with love to Krishna, Krishna will accept that. Yet everything becomes successful simply through development of devotional service to the Lord. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness cannot even call themselves Brahma Bandhu. Yes, most of the people in the Western world are not born from Brahmanas, so we're not even Brahma Bandhu. Therefore, our only means for satisfying Krishna is to pursue the injunctions of the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who says, "Yare deke tare kahe Krishna upadesh, amare agyan guru hana tare edesh." Whomever you meet, instruct him on the teachings of Krishna, In this way, on my order, become a spiritual master and deliver the people of the country. This is from Adi-lila, chapter 7, 128. Simply trying to follow the orders of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, we speak to the people of the world about Bhagavad Gita as it is. This will make us qualified to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And all of us can do this. It doesn't mean that to be guru, you suddenly have to sit on a big seat and be offered much honor, etc. Guru means someone who has the ability to inspire a person who hasn't understood about Krishna, to bring a person to Krishna consciousness. This is guru. This is real guru. Guru can inspire, and we can all, if we know about this philosophy, we've understood something, even a little bit of this philosophy, we have the ability, and Mahaprabhu will inspire us and empower us through the holy name to actually instruct. It's saying, Amara Agyan Guru Hana, that one should act in the capacity of guru to try to purify those hearts of the conditioned souls. All of us are capable of doing that. It is our duty, once we have heard this philosophy, to support Mahaprabhu's movement, because this is, in a sense, a revolutionary movement. It's only been on the planet for 500 years, we can say. It's only been practiced throughout the world, perhaps in the last less than 100 years. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was spreading this mission 150 years ago, or 100 years ago, in the Bengali dialect. But now Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has taken this across the ocean into the Western world. So perhaps in the Western world it's been prominent for about 50, 60, 70 years. And if we've heard of these truths, then it's our bounden duty to share them with anybody we meet. If we go to fill the car with petrol, gasoline, speak to the attendant, tell him about Krishna, give him a book, something. Never miss an opportunity to spread Mahaprabhu's movement, because that's the way Mahaprabhu's mercy will manifest in our hearts. When he sees us doing acts like that, he will manifest his mercy to inspire us, to give us clear understanding of the pastimes in Vrindavan. We need it. We need this Sukriti and Sanskar. Text 71.
Ekadina Prabhu Sabha Bhakta Ganalana Sankirtana Kori Vase Shrama Yukta Hana.
Translation. One day the Lord performed Sankirtan with all his devotees, and when they were greatly fatigued, they sat down. Text 80.
Ekaramara Bija Prabhu Angane Ropila Tatshane Janmila Riksha Bandite Lagila.
Translation. The Lord then sowed a mango seed in the yard, and immediately the seed fructified into a tree and began to grow. We can actually see that place at Mamgachi. When you go to Mamgachi, you can see that place where Mahaprabhu planted that tree. Text 81.
Dekite vriksha hoila palita pakila anika pala sobeya vishmita.
As people looked on, the tree became fully grown with fruits that fully ripened. Thus everyone was struck with wonder. Text 82. Even though these are all Nityasiddha Parikas with Mahaprabhu, still Yogamaya has covered them to make them believe that they are like conditioned souls. But we've been through the 4 chapters describing the trunk and the branches of the trees of Mahaprabhu's associates, and all of them are Nityasiddha Parikas. But they are struck with wonder at these miraculous, otherworldly pastimes that Caitanya Mahaprabhu is performing. These mystical pastimes of planting a mango tree and suddenly producing ripe mangoes. Text 82.
Shatadui Fala Prabhu Sigra Padaila Prakashlana Kori Krishna Boga Lagaila.
The Lord immediately picked about 200 fruits, and after washing them, he offered them to Krishna to eat. Text 83.
Rakta pita varna nahi ashti vakala eka janara petadvara kaila eka pala.
The fruits were all red and yellow, with no seed inside and no skin outside. Eating one fruit would immediately fill a man's belly. Mangoes from Goloka Vrindavan. Must be. Purport. In India, a mango is considered best when it is red and yellow. Its seed is very small, its skin is very thin, and it is so palatable that if a person eats one fruit, he will be satisfied. A mango is considered the king of all fruits. Text 84.
Dekiya santushta hoiles sachira nandana sabake koyaya age koriya bakshana.
Seeing the quality of the mangoes, the Lord was greatly satisfied, and thus after eating first, he fed all the other devotees. Text 85.
Ashti vakya vakala nahi amrita rasamaya ekapala koile rasa udara puraya.
Translation. The fruits had no seeds or skins. They were full of nectarine juice and were so sweet that a man could be fully satisfied by eating only one. Text 86.
E mata pradidina pala param masha vaishnava kayena pala prabhura ulasa.
In this way, fruits grew on the tree every day throughout the 12 months of the year, and the Vaishnavas used to eat them to the Lord's great satisfaction. Text 87.
E sabalila kore sachira nandana anya loka nahi jane vina bhaktagana.
These are confidential pastimes of the son of Sachi. Other than devotees, no one knows of this incident. Confidential. It's not written that I remember in Chaitanya Bhagavat either. Purport. So Srila Krishna's Kaviraj must have heard it from Raghunath Das Goswami or from Rupa or Sanatana Goswami. Purport. Non-devotees cannot believe this incident, yet the place where the tree grew still exists in Mayapur. It is called Amragat or Amagat. Text 88.
E matabara masha kirtana asvana amra mahatsava prabhu kore dina dina.
In this way the Lord performed Sankirtan every day, and at the end of Sankirtan there was a mango eating festival every day for 12 months. It's a joyfully performed process. Purport. On principle, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would distribute prasadam at the end of kirtan performances. Similarly, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement must distribute some prasadam to the audience after performing kirtan. Text 89. Because the prasadam distribution can sometimes change the consciousness of the conditioned soul, the kirtan, if that fails, the prasadam will succeed. So these are different weapons that the devotee uses, always. Text 89.
Kirtan korite prabhu oile mega gana apana ichaya koile mega nivarana.
Translation. Once, while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing kirtan, clouds assembled in the sky, and the Lord, by his own will, immediately stopped them from pouring rain. Purport. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that once when Lord Chaitanya was performing Sankirtan, a short way from the village, some clouds appeared overhead. By the supreme will of the Lord, the clouds were asked to disperse, and they did. Because of this incident, that place is known as Megara Chara. Since the course of the Ganges has now changed, the village of the name Belpukaria, which was formerly situated in a different place called Taranavarsh, has now become known as Megarakara. The Majikand of Srila Lochan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Mangal, also relates that once at the end of the day, when evening clouds assembled overhead and thundered threateningly, all the Vaishnavas were very much afraid, But the Lord took his cartels in his hands and personally began chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, looking up towards the sky as if to direct the demigods in the higher planets. Thus all the assembled clouds dispersed, and as the sky became clear, with the moon rising, the Lord began dancing very happily with his jubilant and satisfied devotees. So we're getting a window into the youthful pastimes of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement in Navadvip. This is very wonderful. This is before his sannyas, and this is after he's manifested Gaur Sundar. He's left Nimai Pandit behind when he's met Ishwara Puri. All this is beginning after he's connecting with his eternal spiritual master, Ishwara Puripad. So this is the only way these pastimes can manifest. Text 90.
Ekadina Prabhu Shiva Sera Adi-lila Brihat Sansare Nama Pada Sunite Manhila.
One day the Lord entered Srivas Thakur to read the Brihat Sahasranam, the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, for he wanted to hear them at that time. Text 91.
Patite oile stave nishingera nam Sunia avista hoile Prabhu Goradam.
As he read the 1,000 names of the Lord, in due course the holy name of Lord Nrsimha appeared. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the holy name of Lord Nrsimha, he became fully absorbed in thought. The Chaitanya Mangal Madhya Kand describes this incident as follows. Srivas Pandit was performing the Shraddha ceremony for his father, as is customary. He was hearing the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. At that time, Gaurahari, Lord Chaitanya, appeared on the scene, and he also began to hear the 1,000 names of Vishnu with full satisfaction. When he thus heard the holy name of Lord Nrsimha, Lord Chaitanya became absorbed in thought, and he became angry like Nrsimha Prabhu. In his angry mood, his eyes became red, his bodily hairs stood on end, all the parts of his body trembled, and he made a thundering sound. All of a sudden, he took up a club, and people became greatly afraid, thinking, "We do not know what kind of offense we have committed." But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adjusted his thoughts and sat down on a seat. Text 92.
Nrsimha Avesh Prabhu Hate Gada Lana Pasandi Marite Yai Nagare Daya.
In the mood of Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Chaitanya ran through the city streets, club in hand, ready to kill all the atheists. Text 93.
Nrsimha Avesh Teki Mahat Tejo Maya Patachati Bhagak Loka Panabada Baya.
Translation. Seeing him appearing very fierce in the ecstasy of Lord Nrsimhadev, people ran from the street and fled here and there, afraid of his anger. Text 94.
Loka Baya Deki Prabhu Baya Haila Srivas Karite Gia Kada Laya.
Translation. Seeing the people so afraid, the Lord came to his external senses and thus returned to the house of Srivas Thakur and threw away the club. Text 95.
Srivas Kahina Prabhu Korea Vishada Lokabaya Paya Mora Hoya Aparada.
The Lord became morose and said to Srivas Thakur, "When I adopted the mood of Lord Nrsimhadev, people were greatly afraid. Therefore I stopped, since causing fear among people is an offense." Text 96.
Srivas Palena Ye Tamara Nama Laya Tara Koti Aparada Sabe Koya Shaya.
Translation. Srivas Thakur replied, "Anyone who takes your holy name vanquishes 10 millions of his offenses immediately." Very beautiful. Anyone who takes your holy name vanquishes 10 millions of his offenses immediately. Text 97.
Aparada nahi koile lokara nistara Jetomada kile tara chutila samsara.
There is no offense in your appearing as Nrsimhadev. Rather, any man who saw you in that mood was immediately liberated from the bondage of material existence. Text 98.
Eta bali Shrivas korile shevana, tushtakhana prabhu aile apana bhavana.
Translation. After saying this, Srivas Thakur worshipped the Lord, who was then greatly satisfied, and returned to his own home. Text 99.
Aradina Shiva Bhakta Shiva Gunagaya, Prabhure Agana Nache Damaru Bhajaya.
Translation. On another day, a great devotee of Lord Shiva, chanting of Lord Shiva's qualities, came to Lord Chaitanya's house, where he began dancing in the courtyard and playing his damaru, a musical instrument. Text 100. Mahesh Avesh Hoile Sachira Nandana, Taru Skande Chadu Nritya Koile Bahushana. Then Lord Chaitanya, adopting the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulders, and thus they danced together for a long time. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adopted the mood of Lord Shiva, for he is Shiva also, according to the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. Lord Shiva is not different from Lord Vishnu, but still Lord Shiva is not Lord Vishnu, just as yogurt is nothing but milk, and yet is not milk nevertheless. One cannot get the benefit of milk by drinking yogurt. Similarly, one cannot get salvation by worshipping Lord Shiva. If one wants salvation, one must worship Lord Vishnu. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Matstani sarvabhutani nakaham tve avishta taha. Everything is resting on the Lord, for everything is his energy, yet he is not everywhere. Lord Chaitanya's adopting the mood of Lord Shiva is not extraordinary, but one should not therefore think that by worshipping Lord Shiva, one is worshipping Lord Chaitanya. That would be a mistake. Just read one more. Text 101.
Hare Dina Eka Baku Sukha Oile Majite, Prabhure Nritya Deki Nritya Lagila Karite.
On another day, a mendicant came to beg alms from the Lord's house. But when he saw the Lord dancing, he began to dance. Text 102. Prabhu Sange Nitya Kore Parama Ulas, Prabhu Tare Prema Dila Prema Rasabas. He danced with the Lord because he was favored by love of Krishna. Thus he flowed in the mellows of love of God. So I'll stop there for today. Seems like my battery is running out. So these are all ecstatic, youthful pastimes of the Lord in his Sankirtan in Navadvip. So it's going to culminate with the Chankazi's breaking of the drum. But we'll come to that pastime soon. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gau Prinandi, Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubevacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.